When Crocs first called ELAN, I wasn't really sure who Crocs was. But they were referred to us by another client that we'd had for many years to perform a flagship store for them in downtown New York City. Now, we've done flagship stores before, and we've worked in a lot of cities around the country, and although I had a little apprehension about doing a flagship store in New York City, we had already begun negotiations with them to help them with their build-out of retail stores in malls and outlet centers around the country. I visited New York City with the senior executives of Crocs, took one look at the Soho site, and said, why me? But the truth is, we saw an opportunity here, not only to perform for Crocs, but to have an opportunity to put together a design build team of a magnitude of which we had never done before. My first call was to an old friend of mine, a business associate, my mentor, my personal mentor from more than 30 years ago. And that was Bill Morgan, who since became our senior store planner, designer, and contract administrator, not only for the Soho project, but for the hundreds of stores or 100+ stores we've done for Crocs since we initially were involved with them on the flagship store.
When Crocs came to ELAN to do this project, ELAN came to me and asked me if I would help be part of the lead on the design for a design build project. We realized we had an historical building, but we didn't realize the complexity of it because of the age of the building. This was really going to be a pet project for LPC, and they would be watching it very closely.
And working in conjunction with Bill was our senior project manager, Mr. Tom Calcaterra.
I've never been committed to a project as much as I have this one, and one that's been so challenging as these last 2 years. ELAN has made that very possible by the backing we received during that whole period. And I don't believe there's a lot of contractors in this United States that could have pulled this project off.
In conjunction with Tom, we had a number of full-time superintendents on this project that were ELAN superintendents to assist him in the day-to-day operations of the project.
I've been in the retail construction business for 30 years, specializing in retail stores. I've been with ELAN for the last 10 years, as in many capacities, as a superintendent, and recently, the last 2 years, promoted to project manager. I pride myself on turning things over on time, zero punch list.
We solicited and interviewed 9 architects to help us in the design build phase. In the end, our conclusion was to work with a qualified architect here in New York City, had the experience of working with the Landmarks Preservation Commission, with the building department, and all the different entities that we would have to deal with as we became more involved in the project, learning about its historical significance and the preservation and the demoing of the other building, the marrying of the 2 projects, the 2 buildings here, the old, 200 years old, and the new state-of-the-art. And we brought on board William Rockwell of William Architects here in New York City.
The key aspect of preservation in New York is based on the legislation of appropriateness. Preservation can vary by how things look, but the key difference in New York is what is appropriate. The main storefront on Spring at the corner is based on photographs we had from the 20s, which is the most significant alteration to the front of the project. Every decision that we made material-wise, the addition, and all of the interventions had to be an appropriate design or selection in terms of the neighborhood, not just what might have been historically accurate. So the appropriateness has more to do with the whole area, the whole neighborhood, rather than just this specific building.
Certainly give credit to Nassau Electric and their ability to be, as all jobs, the electrician is the first guy on the job and the last guy to lock up when he's leaving at the end of the job.
Some of the challenges we were faced with along this project was a 200-year-old building, was the concealing of the wires. We had open beams, trying to hide everything to get our lighting up on the ceiling up there.
Working for ELAN, with joining up with their team, there was always a sense of urgency as far as keeping on schedule, and I've been on quite a few jobs and never had the experience of working with professionals like Tommy and Stan. You know, the architect, the engineers, everybody was right on point with everything. We had a few issues here and there, but we worked through it, and the job speaks for itself.
And we worked with Kane on designing with Plan B engineering the exterior shoring that held up the entire building on the historical side, which was held up from the inside and the outside, kind of enveloped together so that this old building wouldn't fall apart from the construction going on outside, inside, under, on top, and knocking down a building right next door. They also completed the sidewalk bridging, all the scaffolding, helped us with the steel, poured all the concrete, did the masonry work, matched the brick work, and did the most amazing job on the Spring Street wall when the building department condemned that wall.
They want us to use at least 60% of the bricks, but we come to find out they were falling apart. And then the other situation was the brownstone lintels. They want us to save those, which was totally impossible because when we were taking them off, they were actually falling apart. We found the best lintel and the best sill, and we took them to a restoration company in Brooklyn, and they made a cast of each one so that we could have the exact look, exactly. They exactly matched the color of the limestone, and we could put it right next to each other. And the sparkling, and it was really a perfect match, which everybody was really satisfied with.
ELAN was a perfect choice here for restoration work and working closely with Landmarks, you know, to get this to the exact match of what the old original building was 200 plus years old.
Trainer Glass, and not enough can be said about Trainer Glass and their ability to engineer this spectacular state-of-the-art structural glass system while also engineering in and helping us value engineering at cost savings to Crocs, our most valued client, of almost $600,000.
ELAN General Contracting engaged Trainer Glass Company in a design-build contract for this Crocs job down in Soho. The wall we used was a structural glass wall, which means there were no metal framing supporting the wall. It's purely supported by glass. And when ELAN's design-build team started looking for solutions, we came in as a domestic producer at a third of the cost, and we're able to source the glass locally in the United States at a savings. Every day I could come on site and Tom Calcaterra would be here. Most general contracting firms will have a guy like Tom, but he'll be in charge of a dozen different jobs and you'll rarely get to see him. Anytime there was a problem, and there were many, all I had to do was come down to site and I could engage Tom and we could figure it out right here.
Now that you've met our team and seen our capabilities, if you have a project that requires our expertise and dedication, we'd like to earn your business. Give us a call or go to our website. I'm Adrian Johnson, CEO and President of ELAN General Contracting. Thank you for your time.